So it is number 8 officially.
Officially number 8.
Yes.
Okay.
I looked.
Episode 8.
Double checked.
We're just a hot mess. I mean,
That's all right.
how
Because that's just real.
It's just real. That's who we are. I don't really even know anymore what episode we're on. It's whatever. Episode whatever.
It's the next episode.
It's our next chat. I
Yeah.
mean,
And that's
just our next chat.
It is next time, yeah. And I feel like this is going to be a good one because I'm feeling it so much more now. And I think that's why this happened.
Well, and you're getting into teaching now. Like you were
Yes.
new, and when you're new to teaching, everything's exciting, everything's fun. And like I get so jazzed up teaching. I love teaching, obviously, but there are parts of it like you learn as you go and it becomes more real. And you take off some of those rose-colored glasses, I think.
Right.
And it becomes a little bit more to you over time. So I think that's like where you're at now. You're what, 2 years in?
Yeah, like 2
years
2.5,
into
something like
teaching.
That. And yeah, I think that I am realizing that going through YTT and really, I guess, just taking it on. And I think that's another thing that's kind of happening is I've literally, not necessarily uprooted, but I totally changed my path in life to follow this path. Because this is the one I want, right? Yeah. And I believe in more. And this is just, I feel like I line up with this path way more than any other path. But yes, in the very beginning, I was like, it's going to be great. And it is great.
And it is.
It is great. But it is just definitely a learning experience along the way now that it is my full time.
Yeah. Well, because unfortunately, the messiness of life, it still exists in this world too.
Right.
Like I talked last module with the teacher trainers about, I mean, it is still, you find messiness in this world too, but you get to decide if you're going to be a part of it or not. Like you get to decide if you're going to contribute to that messiness or even buy into it, or if you're just going to let it be because, yoga teachers are just human. We're just humans. So yeah, I came in today. That was like the topic that I could think of was just like the myths about yoga teachers. Like we're just regular humans. And I feel like I know before I became a teacher, when I was just a student, like I looked at yoga teachers like different. They were different than me. And I got like a reminder of that the other day. We have like a new student coming and they've got all these questions, which is awesome. I love that. But they apologized to me for something that they asked that was kind of weird, kind of offhand or whatever. And it was fine. I didn't care. But they apologized for it and said, I've never talked to a yoga teacher before. So like, I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to, and I was like, I'm just a human being, just another person.
But I've been there.
But I've been there. So like saying it now, like I am a yoga teacher, so I'm not trying to like put myself on that pedestal. I'm saying I put teachers on a pedestal when I was a student, and I don't want to be on a pedestal. Please don't put me there. I am just a messy human too.
Right.
I have bad days. I've cussed people out in the traffic on my way to teach a yoga class. Like I'm just a messy human too. And I think people have this idea of what a yoga teacher is and how they must live their life, and it must look so different than theirs. And well, it's kind of like when I had you out to my house just a few weeks ago, and I was like, it's just the house, and it's a messy one because I haven't cleaned in a while. And so like I literally walked around to let me show you my mess. Let me literally walk you around and show you my mess.
That was such a good day.
I'm just a human, and I'm a business owner and I'm busy. And so like sometimes my house gets the back burner. And that was one of those times. So like, I will literally show you. I'll open up.
I have nothing to hide though.
Come and look.
Not trying to put on a persona. And that's what's so cool is like you are just a person, which is so neat. Like I don't feel like everybody allows themselves to be that. Teachers anyways.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Well, I think that's correct though as a whole. I mean, I
guess, yes.
That became one of my goals very long ago, was for me to show up so authentically myself. And that means bringing in the mess too. That means bringing in, I I took class on Thursday. I can't tell you how many times I fell out of a pose. And I wanted to be so authentically myself. It gave people permission to do the same. And so now I do also understand as a teacher, I have responsibilities. When I'm here to teach a class, I'm not going to tell you about my mess. I'm not going to, because you're not here for me.
Right.
You're not here for my stuff. So yes, there are some standards that I think should be there, some boundaries that should be there when you are the one teaching the class,
Right.
because you're there to hold space for other people and their stuff. And when you show up as a teacher and make it about you, you're taking away from their experience. So there is that.
Right.
But I'm also a part of this community as a student. So when I show up as a student, you're going to see my mess. I'm going to tell you about how I burned dinner last night, or I had one too many margaritas, a couple days ago. I'm going to talk about stuff like that. So you realize I'm just a human.
Yeah. Don't put me
anywhere.
Yeah.
And matter of fact, like my goal as a teacher is to teach the student that you are your best guide. That's my role. Not that I know better than you, because I don't. I don't know better than you for you. And
you don't live in my body.
No.
Yeah.
So and we literally just talked about this, that like, I'm never going to try to push a student to do something that they don't think is good for them, because I myself has pushed myself too far. Even knowing what I know, even the knowledge that I have and all this growth that I've done, my ego has shown up on that mat with me many times, and I caused myself harm and injured my body because I wanted the pose. So I was chasing a goal instead of just focusing on being present as I was.
As a teacher, this is just some real talk. As a teacher, I am like, that was probably, and it's something I'm still dealing with my leg. I have some shame with it. And that's when I said today, I kind of feel like I failed at what I was trying to do. And that scares me bad. Just because I'm also going, there's lots of stuff in life.
It always is.
Changing.
It's always layers.
Yeah. And so that moment when it happened, and it was in front of everybody, and I was in a front row,
which is the best place.
And everybody's like, oh my God, what happened? Are you okay? And I'm like, I'm fine. But like, instead just being like, no, I'm not. No, I hurt myself, And then like, now I'm really telling people to be more cautious, because I'm wearing a little layer of shame for not listening. And I don't want to, that is something I do not want to push onto anyone else, to make them feel like they have to chase just a pose or chase just getting somewhere physically instead of enjoying the path along the way. Because that's what I was doing. That's exactly what I was doing in that moment. I was like, oh no, I'm in so deep. I'm bomb right now. I'm just feeling myself. And I was like, watch me. Swear that in that moment, I was like, I was showing off. I was straight up. And
I've done it. I've been there.
And
so I understand it.
Yoga put me back in my place real quick. And all of that also showed up on Tuesday, because it happened again. And I wasn't even trying to show off. I was just in my mind, and this is another part of that shame, I didn't want to look weak. And that's what it was. I didn't want to look weak. As a teacher, I teach all of these people in this room, and I didn't want to look weak because I'm not capable of doing near of what I know I could be capable of doing.
Or in your brain, you should be.
Or I should be doing, yes. In my brain, I should be. Why? And in the moment when I was like, no, I can should be going all the way down. I can do that. And as I was getting up, nope, happened again, putting me back in my place. And that was, just cried for the rest of class. And that's all right, because I had some love. But
this is why we talk about, though, that sometimes rest is the hardest thing to find. Yeah. And some of that is why. I do have a little tidbit to say, though, because this is who I am, and I can't not. So is it shame or is it guilt? So there is a difference, because guilt says I make bad choices. I did a bad thing. Shame is I am bad. I am a bad person. I am bad. So like there is a big difference, and we're actually covering that this weekend. So this might be the perfect module for you to take this weekend. But there is a difference between guilt and shame. Guilt can be a good thing. It helps us to realize there's a problem, right? We made a decision and here's the outcome. I don't like how I feel about what's happening. That's
Right.
guilt. That is guilt. I did a bad thing. I made a choice that I'm not proud of, or it wasn't the right choice, or I didn't follow my intuition, or I
Right.
listened to my ego instead of what I know I should be doing. That's guilt. Shame is broad. Shame is I am a bad person.
I don't think it would go that. I think it has kind of gone
Then
from
don't call
guilt
it shame.
into a little bit of shame, especially today, what I did. I
Shame,
projected my bad feelings or experience onto someone else, and that I was very shameful in that
Yeah.
because I was like, how dare you? That made me feel like a bad person. And I know I'm not a bad person, but I made bad choices
because we're human.
We're freaking humans.
We're human beings.
But as a teacher, I mean, being able to accept that and own it, which
Yeah.
I made sure to do because I am human. I make mistakes too, but I try not to. There's so much that I try not to show in class, which I definitely cried in teaching in class. But it was over losing, Charlie, my fat man, my dog, my boy. But like other things, like other personal things kind of going through, I never try to bring that in here ever. But I did today. And that definitely gave me some shame.
But see, what you did was so the way I look at it, guilt presents us with the opportunity for growth. It presents us with this ability to recognize. So like feelings are good. They keep us aware of what's happening, right? If we didn't have emotions, how would you know anything? So like guilt is an emotion that you feel, and it presents this opportunity for growth. Ooh, I don't like this feeling. So I'm going to do something different next time. I'm going to make a different choice next time. Shame, nothing good comes from shame. Shame is, that's why like, so I'm big about words, I guess. That's the
Don't
big,
mislabel.
because to me, like I know the difference. And so when I keep listening to you say, I'm like, but is it though? Is it though? Because guilt we can turn into a good, positive progress and growth. And guilt can be a positive experience because it helps us change the trajectory of the future. Whereas shame, we just cycle into and we hurt people out of shame and we do all of these things out of shame. There's no opportunity for growth when it comes to shame.
And I
You
guess
just
I'm just
accept
feeling
that
very
I am
guilty.
a bad person.
Yeah, I'm not. I refuse to.
So
accept
what
that.
you did today by correcting yourself and pointing out, you used guilt, that feeling that you had, and you projected that onto somebody else, and you took that opportunity to grow, change the narrative, and change the trajectory of where you went in the future.
And I wanted to use it as a lesson because I had a lot of people today that are dealing with injuries and going through it. And that is something I am grateful for this injury because I'm learning the grief that comes with that.
It's frustrating.
It is one of the most frustrating things I have dealt with in the last 10 years. Like, and that's saying a lot because I've dealt with a lot, but because this is so personal and it's me, it's my body, and I am physically unable to make a change, like to, I guess, progress. And I'm having to, what is it? Digress? I don't know. But I'm having to step back. And that has, because I've been working on going so far, it's very hard. But I used today as an opportunity to remind everyone it's okay to step back. It's okay if you are having to pause your growth. That just means it's going to be, in my mind, I'm like, that just means it's going to be that much better. It's coming.
Also, on the other hand, let me present it this way. Your physical practice, right? We went over there's 8 limbs to yoga, right? So your physical practice of yoga has taken a pause.
Yes.
A step back. Cool. I can recognize that. But what if you had to have that step back for the rest of it to propel forward?
And that,
So like if you see those, I love when I see those memes. It's like pictures of someone in like a handstand or whatever. And it's like, this is cool yoga. This is awesome yoga. And then it shows someone sitting in a meditation pose, but this is advanced yoga.
Right.
And so like I love stuff like that because it is sometimes the hardest to achieve. It is the hardest. And sometimes it takes, I mean, look at the mind chaos that is happening. Yeah, I went through it. So like I'm not pointing out something. I went through it. You watched me go through the whole chaos, the whole thing for like 6 months of me coming in so frustrated and then just having to remind myself, okay, but what could I be learning here? Because the physical practice is just one limb and it's the limb I love the most. It is the limb that I feel like at this point in my life I'm getting the most from. So I almost had to have that be screeched to a halt in order for me to kind of really tap into the other parts of yoga and start to learn from those as well.
Well, I think too, like students look at teachers like, oh, we just know it all the time. And so I am grateful for this opportunity to pause physically. And I keep telling myself that because I have been saying for weeks now, I want to dive more into just the spiritual and the emotional.
Listened. And it delivered.
It delivered.
It delivered.
But because I know it will give me an opportunity to just to find the pause that I need to turn my mind on in a different way and stop worrying about what my body looks like. And I have been saying that in many different ways. I said it even off of my mat because I started going to the gym and doing all these things. I'm like, I want my body to look differently. You know, I don't like the way my body looks. So I'm going to change it and I'm going to do all these things because I want to be able to do other things in yoga physically. And I think, the universe was like, you can't have what is it? You can't
have your cake and
eat it too. And I get that. But I'm happy because I feel like it's hard to do multiple things at once, even though we're very good at multitasking, especially teaching. Man, it's really hard to, and I think some people don't think about this. As a teacher, it's hard to dive into our practice sometimes. It is, not even sometimes. It's a lot hard for me to dive into my practice because there's so much that goes into teaching a class. Even though you've been teaching it for so long, I mean, I don't have to come in with a plan. But it's still the planning your music or what do I want to set an intention today or do I not? Do I want to go around and do assist or do I not? How am I feeling today? And that takes a lot out of you, and if you teach every day, that's an everyday experience you're having. So when are you able, especially if you're not on your mat, you're able to come in here on your mat and practice physically, how are you practicing? How are you getting your yoga? And
I'm big on that. I think for a teacher, when you are not practicing, you shouldn't really be teaching, in my opinion. That's just, it's how I look at it. So like because what are you teaching from?
Exactly.
Right? Like you can come in, I said it a couple of weeks ago, you can come in and I think a lot of people can teach a fine class.
Right.
Lots of people could come in and call out poses in a good order. They could cue breath, remind you to breathe. They could play good music. They can teach a fine class. And that's fine and good. And there were periods of my life that had to get me through for a while. That was what I had to offer at the time. But when I feel like I am doing my best, is when I am making sure I am here on my mat as well. And because it all ties in together, what I'm learning on my mat, I then take into my teaching. And so like, if you're not practicing, what are you teaching from?
Right. No, and I think that is something it happened to me last night teaching at Crunch. Because over there, you do teach from your mat. I try not to. But they're watching you. What's next? And instead of your path to down dog, their heads turning. What do you mean my path to down dog? And so, I mean, my warrior 1 and warrior 2, anything on my feet are this far apart because I refuse to hurt myself again. I refuse to overdo it. I'm making the choice to step back and not hurt myself. That sounds horrible, for the benefit of others. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm like, no, make sure your stance is wider, And it's challenging me. And because in the moment I'm like, I feel like an imposter. Like I really do. Cause I'm like, I'm not giving them the most out of this practice because they're watching me, you know? And so I'm going to have to come off of my mat more and hopefully show them that they can do it on their own and still have a wonderful class. You don't have to watch somebody to be able to do it,
Yeah.
you know, and teaching them that they're more than capable of doing this on their own. And that's hard because I can't be on my feet and
When
flow.
really, as a teacher, you're going to be presented with all different sides or ranges of that spectrum.
Yeah.
So, like, I think I've told you this story before of not long after opening in White Oak,
Yeah.
I had all new students. I opened in a town that had really never had yoga. So everyone that was coming was brand new to yoga. And I'm still a student. So like, I had one or two teachers at different times. And so I was coming to every single one of the classes because I taught all the other classes.
Right.
So I was showing up as a student and I started feeling like, well, I can't be taking all these advancements and stuff because I have all these new students that are watching me. It's just amazing how like you can be presented with all different sides and you get to decide what you do with it. And I don't agree with what I did with it. So like, that's what I'm saying. Like you looking back now, I took a big chunk of time that I stopped doing things I love to do
Right.
because I didn't want to hinder someone else or make someone else uncomfortable.
Right.
Or all of these things. And I'm not saying like, go to the front and be throwing yourself into different the whole time. That's confusing. I'm just saying I literally stopped going upside down. I didn't it might have been closer to 3 years. I didn't. I would at home.
Yeah.
I would at home, like by myself, no one there. But in class, mm-mm. And then it became a thing.
Right.
And then it just stuck. So like I wasn't doing arm balances. I wasn't going upside down, which was the stuff I loved before. And it wasn't until like we moved here into the studio, we were probably almost a year in of being here. And it just kind of like hit me. I think somebody asked me to like show them how to do something and I did. And so many students were like, I didn't even know you could do that because I had taken such a hiatus from doing anything. And that's where like I realized like I understand that feeling like that ego shows up so you're showing off. I also understand the other side of the coin of I can't do that because I don't want to look like I'm showing off.
Right.
So like it's just like this balancing act, whereas like I just made this decision finally of I'm just going to be authentic. This is my practice. You're going to see me
Right.
as a student up here and I'm going to be a real person and I'm going to stop worrying about all of that. If I fall on my face, you're going to see me fall on my face.
Right.
As a teacher. Who cares? If I nail it, you're going to see me nail it. As a student, as a teacher, I am not attached to the outcome anymore. And it is not my job when I'm a student here to worry about the other students or what their experience is with anyone else in the class. It is my job when I'm a teacher and I show up in this space as a teacher, experiences here and guiding them through that experience. But me as a student, there was a point where I think teaching started like engulfing my practice. And that's a dangerous spot to be because you never want to lose being a student. So when you see me up here as a student and you see me fall and I giggle, just know I worked hard for that. I worked hard for the ability to fall and giggle about it instead of think like immediately, like I used to, which is immediately shut down. And it flip flops. Sometimes it was a fear of, oh my goodness, they're going to think I should be able to do that. How embarrassing. It is also swung the other direction of, oh man, nobody's going to try that because they're going to be so scared of falling. If I fall, then oh my goodness, then they're not even going to try. It's went all different sides of that spectrum. And that's where I always have to just come back to, I'm just a student here. When I show up, I just want to be a student. I don't want to be worried about any other student in this room when I'm here as a student. I'm just a yoga student.
Just a person.
Yes, when I show up to teach, I'm in a different realm and I understand that and I take on that role and I love that role. but that's not my job as a student. That's your job if you're
Right.
teaching. You know, it's why like I love, you know, going and going to other studios too. Like they don't know I'm a teacher. I've never walked into another studio and said I'm a teacher. I think it's weird. First off, I think that's weird. I don't know why anybody would go into a studio they've never been to and be like, "Hi, I'm a teacher. Congratulations." Like I don't really understand the point of that, because to me, I crave just being a student
Right.
too. Like I love teaching and I love showing up to teach, and I do. And there's a time and a place for that, but I also love being a student.
Right.
And so I think when you own the studio that you are also a student at and that you teach at, you're very aware that everyone here knows, unless they're brand spanking new, everyone knows that I teach here and that I own this place. And so you're very aware of that. And so I had to make a decision, because it's not up to me to control anybody else and what they think. It's up to me what I do with it. And so that's where like I had to really make that decision. If you want to show up and be so authentically yourself, that is your choice, and you have to make that decision and stick to it. So that means doing that on my mat when I'm a student. It means when I run into people outside of this place, like I don't take on this teacher role. Like I am who I am. So what you see is what you get.
I feel like that's very important. Whoever you are.
Authenticity is important to me. So that became a very important thing. I just remember giggling about it, but in teacher training, I remember them saying, we were talking about authenticity, and they were like, don't come into a teaching experience and try to pretend like you're the perfect yogi, as if that even exists. They were like, you know, don't be trying to like tell people, well, I'm a vegan and I'm this and I practice daily and I meditate for an hour a day. Don't tell people that unless it's true.
Unless you do it, right.
Unless that's true, then awesome, good for you. But then if you show up and teach that way, and then they run into you at the burger joint when you're eating this big greasy cheeseburger, they've lost faith in this practice. And they've lost
because it goes
faith
beyond
in
you.
Yeah.
I feel like, because at the end of the day, we are a guide into this practice.
And then really, what I feel my goal is, or my job as a teacher, is to guide a student in how to guide themselves, because practice is a personal thing.
Right.
And yes, we do it in a class setting and it makes it more fun. And I love the community that we've built. And so it's fun to take in a class. I need the energy of the room. It's hard to practice by myself.
Right.
I love a class setting, but your practice is a personal thing. It just is. And so like, I like to say at the end of class when someone says, oh, that was so good. And I say it often, you guys are what makes it good. I just give suggestions.
Right.
And that's how I look at it, because my goal is to teach you that you are your best teacher. I might make suggestions, and I may even like let a student know, I think you're ready for that pose, but I'm not going to force you to do it, but I might encourage you, because I know I've been watching and I know you're ready for that, but that's not my decision to make.
Well, and then everybody wants something different on their mat. I mean, and that's, or not even just in their mat, but everybody wants something different in their practice. Not everybody's searching for the same goal or experience when it comes to yoga. And that's what I've enjoyed so much about being here, is you've offered that, you've allowed that. Because I've been to places and this is what we do and this is how we do it. And, there's not much more talk about anything outside of just our practice here in this space, and that's what's so cool about having such diversity in teachers here, is because we have a little bit of all of it. I feel like we have a little taste of, different personalities. And I think that's so neat. And just experiencing what other people have in yoga, what yoga means to them, because it is different for all 5 of us as teachers, which is so cool. And we allow that, and we're not all trying to be like one another. And I think that's neat, because I don't think that's everywhere. I mean, maybe it is. I don't know. Maybe I just haven't been to another place yet like it.
That felt that way.
But
when we don't compete with each other. And I think that's another really important part. I'm not trying to compete with it. I know what I bring to the table, and that's what I have to offer.
Right.
And I'm going to show up and I'm going to do my best. So, like, I don't say that like, well, so if it sucks, it sucks. What I mean by that, I show up and do my best at what I know is in my wheelhouse
Right.
and what I feel passionate about teaching. And I show up and do my best at that. I give it my best. Now my best is going to look different every day. And that's also just part of, I'm just a human being. I have
Right.
bad days too. I have things that are going on in my life that I'm also very aware when I come to teach. I'm not going to talk about those things. I try really hard to not let that affect me here in this space unless I'm here as a student to work my way through it.
Right.
But there's been times, a few times throughout my teaching career that I knew what was happening in my life outside. I couldn't not bring it here. And so I got classes covered for a couple of weeks so that I could take some time, because I'm very big on energy transference, and
Right.
I'm not trying to bring that energy in to transfer onto somebody else. So, like, none of us are competing to have the most students show up to their classes. And I think that's so important when teachers show up on their mat to take from other teachers. I hear them often like, oh, you're working on some cool thing. That was awesome. I love having you in my class, things like that, which I think is also really cool because you don't experience that everywhere. That people get jealous of, oh, well, your classes are so full and mine have very few people in them,
And it shouldn't matter if it's a
Shouldn't be
room
that
full
way.
of 20 people or one.
Yeah.
Whoever walks in the door should have the same experience.
Yes.
And that should show.
Yeah. I remember Glenn telling me, he experienced some of that a few years ago, and he kind of gotten down for a little while because he didn't have very many people coming to his classes. And him telling me, he said, it's like I had to have this epiphany for myself. And since then, his classes are full.
Yes.
And have people coming. So it's like the universe is going to bring stuff to teach you a lesson one way or the other. It's just, and sometimes we have to go through that in order to grow through it.
Right.
So, and that's what he said. I just had to have this like realization. That's not my job. My job is not to worry about who's coming or how many people are coming. I've had teachers in the past that would send, they wanted to know who was signed up for their class every single time. Why does it matter who's signed up for your class? And that's kind of what he said. I just had to realize I'm there to teach the best of my ability and give my best to whoever shows up, whether it's one person or 20 people. They're going to get the best of me for this hour for my class. And I think it's such an important thing to realize as a teacher. And especially if you're a new teacher, going through YTT and stuff, like, those are things that I think about going back to being a new teacher. Not just like, I wasn't just a new teacher at an established studio. I was a fairly new teacher that decided to branch out and open a studio in a town that had never had yoga. So, and I was new, like I was pretty new to teaching. I think I'd been teaching for a year at that, maybe a little less. And so, like, if my ego would have taken front stage, I wouldn't have stayed open, because I can't tell you how many classes no one showed up for that I went home, or I had one person show up for, and they got the best of me. I would give it my all for that one student that showed up. And then, slowly and surely, those one or two people that were coming regularly, then it became 3 or 4, then it became 5 or 6, and it grew from there. But if I would have let my ego lead the way, I wouldn't be open today, because I literally can't tell you how many classes no one showed up for, that I just went home and would just try to be grateful for everything I could on my way home instead of taking it personal, And so there's a lot of teachers that start new and they start at an established studio. You're kind of one of those. Like, we'd been open for about 3 years, I think, when you started, but we created a class for you to start.
Right.
So at time we had never had a class on a Sunday.
There were some no shows.
Yeah. So like that, we created a new class that wasn't established, and you had to grow that from nothing. So there were a lot of weeks that no one was signed up. There were also a ton of weeks that one person was signed up, and bless it, those regulars that keep you going. You're like, yes, somebody came, and
Just the
now,
opportunity to be in this space.
yeah. And now, that class is it's full and it's thriving and it's doing great. But like, if you take it personal as a teacher, you won't keep teaching.
And I love that you say that, because I have caught myself lately, I'm telling you, I'm learning a lot from this step.
It will if you let it.
And I am literally taking an internal, what do they call it? It's an inventory. I am taking internal inventory, a personal inventory of everything that I have been selfish about. Because I have been and I've been teaching that a lot too, but what I am teaching with selfishness is allowing yourself some time. What I am doing is taking things personally and I am making the world revolve around me. And that is, no, girl, stop it. So I'm grateful for the opportunity to kind of step back and stop worrying about how many people show up, and I think that's hard. Like that's hard to, and I think too, it's coming down because other places, the number of people in my classes are not enough. And it's being told to me that you need to do more. I do not like that. Why is my good enough to me not good enough for you? I mean, and that just kind of goes to show it might not be something that just works out. And and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But I allowed it to bleed into every other aspect of my life.
You also left a job that was the same way.
And that's the whole reason I left.
That's the whole reason you left.
I want my good enough to be good enough, because my good enough is good enough for me. So why isn't it good enough for you?
Yeah.
And that's what I love about here, is that it's good enough, and it's celebrated and it's rewarded. And it's not even like it's not a monetary reward. It is a spiritual and just emotional reward, and a community reward. That is what speaks more to me. So I think because that has started happening elsewhere, teaching, I allowed it to start I'm like, well, man, should I be worried about these numbers? Should I be worried about this? But that's only one out of the 3 places that I teach that worries about it.
Yeah.
Here in the other place, they do not. We're happy if we have one. Heck yeah, we have someone here to share our passion with. And that's what it's about. Just checking off, writing all these things down. And because it's very hard to, whenever you start putting your mind like, oh man, I have to make sure my class is full. I have to. Going from that mindset to it being okay for just 1 or 2 people, that it's okay. Like it doesn't have to be this to be amazing.
What happens when you start feeling like you have to fill the class? It becomes more about bodies in the room than the souls that show up. Yes, you have to have bodies come in to make money. I want to keep my doors open. So yes, logically, business-wise, you need people here. But I never got in this business to make bukus of money. I wouldn't recommend anybody who wants to make bukus of money get into the yoga business. It just isn't
the goal.
I'm passionate about sharing yoga. And so like I have a good set of teachers that have that same mentality that I have, that yes, I'm not going to say that there aren't times that I've kind of thought, like Glenn hit that snag for a while where he was just kind of like, man, nobody's coming, or it's like the same 1 or 2 people every week. Like, what's wrong with me? He came to that realization on his own. And it's the same thing that I would say to any teacher that's going through that. It was never about you. It's not about you at all. Now, I'm not saying take a scan. Is there something that I'm not bringing to the table that I could show up better as?
Right.
Am I not giving my best because I'm kind of feeling defeated? Then that is something you should be correcting or working on. But the reality is, you showing up to teach a class should never be about you.
Right.
It's not about you at all. It's about the people that are here as a student.
And that's what I love about here, because it is so hard to do your best when you have to worry about
your best being good enough.
Exactly. And that's hard, because like, why you take it personally. Why am I not good enough? And then it makes you just rethink your whole decision of becoming a teacher. And you're like,
but if
is
that's
this the wrong?
if that's the one place that makes you
Yeah.
feel that way,
Exactly.
that speaks for itself.
Internal scan.
Internal scan.
And that's it. I finally am coming around to it. As a I don't know. I feel like as a I feel like whenever you become a teacher, you're like becoming a teacher. You're like, man, this is gonna be so much fun. You know, you see the other side. You go to all these places.
Glasses.
Yeah, you're like, but they look so happy. You know, they look, man, their class is full. Like, man, I go to some of their classes and there's like a lot of people in there. And then you come to my class and it's not, but they're brand new classes, and they're like, oh, you're not doing enough. There's not enough people here. But I'm like, dude, there's like 7 to 15 people in here. This is a lot of people. What do you mean? For that, and it just kind of makes me, and I thought I wanted to kind of step into that realm. And then so it makes me rethink this whole mindset. Maybe fitness, maybe a broader statement of fitness isn't my jam, but it can be. And I know it can be, but whenever you're in a position where you want to try something new, even on your mat, you're in oh God, did today smack myself. When you're in a position and you're wanting to try something, oh, I am full circling right now. Wow.
Spiraling.
Aha. So, yeah, when you're in a position, let me restart, and you're wanting to do something, and you're like, man, I know I can do it. I know because anything I set my mind to, I'm great at. And that's just how I feel, and ain't nobody can tell me different. And I know I'll do good because I want to do good at it. But then when I start doing it and you tell me I'm not good enough, then I flare up, I shell, I start throwing in the towel. And the thing is that, like you said, it's only that for one place. It's not like that anywhere else. And but still it gets you. Like it steals, like you take it. It's hard not to take it personal.
You're letting them.
I am.
You're letting them steal it.
I know. That's why though, I really do. And it's hard to show up fully there. And I do anyways, because I'm like, you know what? I'm going to continue to do my best. And if it's still not good enough for them, then that's all right. Because I know it's appreciated elsewhere. Yeah. And that's fine. That I think as a teacher, I think people look at us, you know, like, well, they're fine. They got it going on, you know, or whatever. The class was great. But I feel like as a student, I mean, I do it too. Like to other teachers, I'm like, man, dang, look at that. That's bomb, you know, like how busy they are. Look at this. And we just don't see the other side of it. And as a teacher, that is a myth for sure. Because there is another side of it. Yeah. There is always the other side.
I mean, probably more times than I care to admit, I have cried in my car on the way to teaching a class and knowing full well you just gotta, you gotta say, I love those videos that you'll see of like, you know, when you're in the middle of a mental breakdown, but you've got to teach.
You gotta teach.
And they're just like boo-hooing. And then what's amazing to me is there have been times I had to take a small pause from teaching because what I was going through at the time was so big. I knew I couldn't give my best here and give my best to what was happening in my actual life, like my home life. And something had to give. And I need a week or two off to get my life together. You know, luckily that's only happened a couple of times, and, you know, swooped in and took care of all the things so that I could have that, because I do have a life outside that door. I have 3 children. So like you can imagine things happen. Life be life, and sometimes. But the reality is that sometimes, like in the midst of going through a hard thing, I still have to show up to teach and hold space for other people who are going through hard things. And I'm not going to come in and talk about my hard thing. I'm going to come and hold space for you to make sense of your hard thing, because I'm going to be here tonight on my mat to make my life make sense. But for today, for this morning, I'm going to hold space for you to do that. And the reality that I've learned is there are so many times that driving to teach a class, I'm like, I don't know that I have it in me today. Like, I don't know that I have the energy for this today. You know, I'm feeling really down. Like I have this stuff happening in my life and it's kind of all consuming. And then it's amazing to me how many times I show up, I do my best, and I leave feeling lifted. It just, so like I say it in at the end of class often, and I really mean it. I know you come to fill up your cup, but you always fill mine in return.
Right.
And so sometimes, I walk in feeling so empty and so depleted, and you just buckle up your bootstraps, and I'm going to do my best. I'm going to give my absolute best for this hour. And sometimes that best, it's not as good as it was.
Right.
It's not as good as it was last week. I had one of those days this week that it just, what I know, it was my best
Right.
that I had that day, but it was not great compared to other days. It just wasn't. It just wasn't, but I did my best. I
Right.
did my best with what was happening in my life and what I had to give at the time. I gave it my best, and it's really all you can do. But I left that class feeling 100% better than I did showing up for it. So like, I'm always just amazed at that. And I think it's what I love so much about community. Like, I'm not just showing up to teach bodies.
Right.
Like, these are
Exactly.
humans that I love.
Right.
These are humans that I have fallen in love with, and I care about them and their lives and what's happening. And and so sometimes, like, I love just being reminded, oh, you're human too. That makes me feel so much better, because I'm just human too.
We're all human.
I'm going through stuff too, So I don't know. I love that. I love that I leave here as a teacher and as a student with my cup filled more than when I showed up.
Coming in. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's it. Yeah. I mean, it is definitely hard to come in here sometimes to teach. You need to take class too, but to know that whatever we bring here, I know in this space, it's gonna be good enough.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless, we're just happy we all showed up.
Yeah.
That's what speaks so much, and I think that's what's so important, that people, like just anyone coming in or other teachers, know that it's okay. You're human. You can be authentic and it be enough and it be okay. You don't have to put on a facade or a mask or anything, because that defeats the whole point of what we're trying to share with everyone who comes in. And I liked this podcast today. I liked this talk.
Me too.
It was a
Well,
good one.
I'll leave it with this. My intention yesterday was about how yoga was never, like, there's no such thing as good or bad at yoga.
Right.
Yoga was never supposed to be about performance. It's not about what's happening on the outside. It's about showing up for yourself as your true self. And the more and more that we can break down those barriers that keep us from showing up as ourselves, the better we are. And so, like, I loved the line of, it was never meant to be about performance, because like, your energy and your soul, they don't care about pretty poses.
Right.
They don't care about what it looks like. They care about presence. And that was just beautiful to me.
That is.
So
I'm getting it.
we're getting there.
I'm getting there.
Because we're just messy humans still learning.
Still learning.
Yeah.
Constantly.
And I hope to be for the rest of my life.
Yeah, forever.
That's,
there's always something new to learn.
I hope that I'm different in a year from now than I am now, because I've learned so much more and I've grown so much more.
Right.
I hope that for every year. Just people.
We're just people.
Yeah.
Figuring it out. Just like everyone else.
That was a good episode.
That was a good one.
All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed our chat. It's the same as always. Just our little chat. A little couch talk. Come sit with us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Send us some ideas.
Yeah.
Please.
And we'll see you next time.